naps are one of the things that I started doing too, bro. I was like, yo, I need to take me a nap, bro.
Right.
Again, I used to be tired at like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I'm like, bro, why am I trying to force myself to stay up?
Right.
I can't even read an email without drawing. I might as well just go fall asleep real quick.
Right.
Let me go take a nap. I took a nap for like an hour one time. And I woke up. And like when you wake up from an hour nap, it's weird.
Right.
Initially, you're like, bro, what the fuck am I doing up? I might as well just keep sleeping. Then when you get up and you actually start paying attention to stuff, like it takes me like 5 minutes to really get into into my groove. I'm like, damn, like I got so much more energy.
Yeah.
You feel so much more energized than where you were before you fell asleep. So like, bro, naps were like very crucial for me at one point. And even to this day, I still would take a nap. If I feel like I need to take a nap, I'm going to go fall right asleep, bro.
Take that nap. And I just want to hop in and say, progress, not perfection.
Facts, please.
Progress, not perfection, because everything you're saying, it is possible for us to do.
Right.
It's not impossible.
It's not.
But, you know, one of the biggest things that I have seen in friend groups, with my colleagues, professionals, is when we get so caught up in the idea of change, we sometimes scare ourselves out of doing it, out of making it, because it seems like it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? That's why, like, for people who are trying to quit bad habits, doing cold turkey sometimes works for a short term, but not long term, because it's so difficult to just drop something.
Yeah.
But progress, not perfection. What did you do good today? You know, what were you able to do with your habit that you may not have done yesterday, but you did it today? You know, and I think that kind of thinking really helps align not just with this conversation here, but the broader concept of just taking care of our health and reclaiming our health, right? And making sure that we truly take control of all aspects of it. So.
Yeah, man. So I know you mentioned sleep as one of the things that's like slowly leading to us being ill as Black men.
Right.
Do you have anything else, like any other things that we're doing, like bad habits right now, or habits that we have right now that may be leading to us having negative health outcomes outside of like lack?
So
go ahead.
I don't want to be a parrot here and just repeating.
No, go ahead.
Repeating things, but definitely vocalizing what is the issue with you, or vocalizing what is going on with you. Because, so, you know, my father's from St. Lucia. I have Caribbean people in my family, and a lot of the men, my goodness, I'm shaking my head because I'm just thinking about how many times I've seen them go through health problems and they just like don't want to even talk about it. So part of the problem, right? You can't even advocate. We talked about advocating earlier. You can't even advocate for yourself if you're not willing to talk about what it is that's going on with you.
Yeah, that's the first step.
So that is the first step. So that is a barrier, I believe, to a lot of health issues. If more Black men were to talk about what's actually going on with them in the health, I think we would, on a whole, have a new conversational topic to discuss, which then could bring more awareness that makes us willing to advocate for each other as brothers in the community.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know, one thing that we're not doing enough of is just talking about what it is we're going on, whether it's mental health, physical health, you know, and then another thing that we need more of, and we are doing good jobs, you know, this is not to discredit the good work that has been done in the community by brothers. We are doing good jobs of conversating and building community, but we need to build more. And the reason why is because there's going to be another generation that comes after us. And you said this before, where it's like, you know, when I have kids, they're going to look at the habits that I built in my household. The next generation is going to look at the habits that were built in the generation before them. How are we as Black men going to make sure that the next generation feels okay to talk about what's going on with them, feels okay to take control of their health, feels okay to say, hey, listen, I think I might need to really have someone discuss with me what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, what I'm experiencing on a physical, emotional, mental level. So for me, the biggest answer is just anything with communication and communicating your own feelings on your health.
And you talked about every generation learning from the generation before them. It really reminded me of this concept that I have, which is every generation of the Black community should be better than the previous generation.
There you go.
Right? And better is obviously subjective. But when I think about better, I think about like, you shouldn't have to do the same things that they did. So one of the things that always comes to mind when I think about that is my mom working crazy
hours. Oh my goodness.
Bruh. Yo, my mom, oh my God, thank God she's retired right now, bro.
Man.
It used to stress me out thinking about how much my mom worked. But she worked that much to build a foundation that I could then use to not have to do that.
Right.
If I'm working as much as my mom was working, then something's wrong. I'm doing something wrong, not her. She did what she's supposed to do. I'm personally doing something wrong. That's just me personally. Right. So like, I always think about that. Like, again, when we go back to habits, like, I want to show my kids that, yo, you can be a family man. You can be part of your family. You can nurture. You can protect and provide.
Right.
You can show up and do all the things that you need to do while still being able to financially support yourself, financially support the people around you. Right. You don't have to cut off pieces of yourself to show up as a man in the family, right? To show up as the patriarch in the family. Right. You don't have to do all of these things that maybe previous generations would have had to do. Right. I want to show that as an example. And of course, there's going to be things that I do wrong, and there's going to be things that they need to learn from and heal from when it comes to me. But I want to make sure that they have again, when it comes to foundation, right? We think about my mom, my dad. I was able to build on top of that foundation for them to also build on top of the foundation that I build. Right. So like, I always think about these things because I feel like oftentimes, like, we don't think about how much sacrifice was actually made for us to be in the position that we're in. Right? Like, you're 30 years old. You're a director.
Hey,
brother, you're a doctor. You're married to a doctor. Like, have you ever just stop and think, like, bro, like, if you look 2 generations past in your family, they probably look at you like, what the
yeah.
You're like their wildest dream, bro. Like, you're like their wildest dream if you really sit and think about it, right? Like, if you really sit and think about it, you're like their wildest dream. Because if I sit and think about my situation and I look at my parents and their parents, I know I'm their wildest dream. Like, for my dad to come immigrate from Ghana.
Wow.
To be a U.S. citizen, to then have a son that's able to work and take care of himself and support himself, and now be traveling around the world with cameras, interviewing people and talking to all these different people, and now can put that out to hundreds of thousands of, like, sounds like a movie to them, right?
Yeah.
Right, but these are things that we sometimes we can be in the moment and understand, but take for granted. So, like, I just want to always, like, bring it back to that, like, yo, again, every generation should be better than the last.
Right.
And that looks different for everybody. But if you're not building on top of the foundation that was already created for you, me personally, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. If I have to do the same thing that the previous generation did, I don't feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always very cognizant of that. And it just reminded me of that when you talked about generations learning from the generations before them, man. Like, yeah. So anyways, back to the conversation, man. I want to ask you, what does it look like for us to have a healthcare system that actually is in tune with what our needs are? Because that's basically what you do at work, right? Like, that's what you kind of advocate for. So what does that look like?
Health equity is so essential and crucial to this conversation, because it means, again, that if we are to have a system for us, it needs to be for who we are. It cannot be made for other people, other groups, other cultures. It has to be made for who we are. But even in our own culture, we have differences. And so I think of it as, number one, making sure that we have a system that is culturally appropriate. Let me break that down. Culturally appropriate means that when you are dealing with a patient, a member, you're really understanding that different cultures have different contexts. So one culture, it may be normal for them to have maybe more starchy foods in their diet. Another culture may have more protein in their diet. Is it culturally appropriate for me to go to someone who may be from Nigeria, for instance, like some of my good brothers, and be like, hey, don't ever eat fufu again. Don't even eat jollof again.
Or might get killed, bro.
You might get killed. Or you think it's appropriate for me to go to my Trini brothers and say, no more roti for you, bro.
Yeah.
Or even if I go to any Jamaican and say, no more rice and peas and stewed chicken.
Yeah. Right.
Bro, culturally appropriate means I can work with you and figure out how best to keep your culture while keeping your care.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. Shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. Know you need to hear it, my brother.